Hello and welcome to New Frontiers on CCTV International. I'm Ji Xiaojun in Beijing. Well, I guess it'll be a long time before any of us forget the opening ceremony of the 2008 Beijing Olympics. To me, one of the most striking images was the dreamlike painting scrolls from the Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties. I suppose one way of summing up the overall performance is as a powerful evocation of the culture, virtue, and social etiquette of ancient China. I can't help thinking in particular about how the performers struck the 2008 fo, or drums, and chanted lines from the Analects of Confucius. In actual fact, striking a fo was a ceremonial rite in ancient China for welcoming guests dating back 3,000 years. Well, in today's program, we are continuing our major exploration of Chinese civilization, and this time focusing on the culture of Li and Yue.
Unlike other parts of the world where the rise of bronze culture can be seen in the development of weapons and tools for practical use, the bronze culture of ancient China was centered on religious activities. In their governing of the country, and for that purpose, the rulers of the Western Zhou dynasty during the 11th century BC devised rigid rules about the use of these ritual bronze objects. In the process, two abstract concepts emerged, Li and Yue. While Li translates into English as behavior code and social etiquette, the term Li implied much more than this phrase suggests, and Yue, which translates as music, covered a wider range than suggested by the word music. The strong belief in Li and Yue distinguished ancient Chinese civilization from any other in the world, and the social norms and protocols that were born out of them were passed down through history to be followed by later generations, even to the present day. More than 2,000 years ago, some Han Dynasty scholars said, China is a nation of virtues and social etiquette. To some extent, the concept of Li covers every aspect of Chinese society, including politics, history, and culture, and there is no equivalent term in any Western language.
"中国是礼乐之国啊，礼仪之邦，可以说是从中国文明开始萌芽形成的时候起，就带有这种以礼乐制度作为它特色的这样一种现象啊。中国人所讲的礼仪，实际上呢是非常之广泛，它体现了社会的结构和社会的种种特点，也体现了社会的统一性和普遍性。那么在这些方面说起来的话呢，和其他的国家呢，确实有些很大的不同。我们中国所谓的礼仪是吧，和外国的一般的讲的这个形式的一些个礼仪，其实意义也不完全相同。
When did the Chinese belief in Li and Yue begin? To trace the beginnings, we have to go back more than 4,000 years to the era of Yao and Shun, two rulers in ancient antiquity. In Xiangfen County, Shanxi Province, can be seen the remains of Taosi Temple. Here, 4,600 years ago, a culture was born, and it flourished for around 500 years at the same time as Longshan culture further down the Yellow River in present-day Shandong Province. More than 1,300 tombs were found here, but only a few dozen contained large amounts of precious burial items. This tells us that during the era in which these people lived, the society was divided into social classes in which distinctions between rich and poor were clearly delineated. These color pottery objects found among the Taosi relics marked the social status of their owners. Also excavated were many jade objects for religious use, and they're very similar to those from Liangzhu culture of 5,000 years ago.
有的墓葬里，除了刚才我们说到了有些礼乐性质的这个器物，你比方说它有这个古书叫土鼓啊，土鼓就是用陶制成的一种鼓，是吧？它那鼓呢很高，是个柱形的，是吧？上面用鹅鱼皮啊，这个就短吻鹅啊，就是一种这个鹅鱼皮上蒙面这样的一种乐器。这种乐器你可以看到，它一定有一定的礼仪的性质。是吧？你比方说他出的这个陶盘中间的这个大家都看得非常有名的，它中间画了一条盘龙，是吧？那么龙这种这个动物，它本身并不是自然界存在的，是吧？它是呢当时的人的一种信仰神话的一种具体带有很重要的这个信仰的意义。所以这些方面我们都看到，这个礼仪的发展在当时不但是萌芽，而且已经到了一定的这个高度了那么一直为这个商周时期的高度发展的礼仪制度呢打下一个很好的基础。
Cultural features of the Yellow River and Yangtze River areas can be seen in the Taosi relics. Among them are sets of large objects for use at funeral and religious ceremonies. The tuo drum and stone qing, both of which are musical percussion instruments, were once hung up in a hall. Like ceremonial wine and food containers, they were used only at worship ceremonies. As was the case with worship ceremonies in ancient China, there were strict rules for the use of li and yue objects.
China, as you know, has numerous sites of historical and cultural interest scattered across its territory. Many of them are associated with ancient religious practices.
In October 2000, archaeologists made their way to the site of the Changzi Shan relics in Chefeng, Inner Mongolia. To contemporary people, this large site with its many stone and earthen enclosures seems quite eerie. Astonishingly, in the ancient past, the central area of this site covered 6.6 thousand square meters. At first, experts felt that the site may have been built for military defense purposes. But if so, who had built it and from whom were they defending themselves? Perhaps some large-scale war had taken place here. Further investigation of the site revealed that the enclosures, which contain only piles of rocks, had not been built for people to live in. Had this place, called by the locals the Ancient Castle, been a place of worship for some ancient kingdom in China's north? From the ground and without the aid of explanations from the local people, the site seems to consist of nothing more than piles of rocks. However, a view from the air reveals something else entirely. The rocks form a huge pattern comprising several hundred geometric shapes. This site is, in fact, the largest of all religious sites thus far found in China. Although it is just one of 10 similar sites found in Changzishan, this one has the most altars. This religious site was in use some 4,000 years ago, about the same time as the Xia dynasty. During the Shang and Zhou dynasties that followed the Xia, humanistic thinking began to appear, and the concepts of Li and Yue began to govern political and social behavior. When King Wu of Zhou, a ruler in China's west, engaged in a punitive expedition against King Zhou of the Shang dynasty, he proclaimed 3 charges against the latter: disregard of the codes of behavior instituted by the ancestors, disrespect of heaven and the gods, and cruelty to the people. All 3 charges made against King Zhou of Shang represent transgressions against the concepts of Li and Yue.
在武王克上之前，这个周跟殷商的这个国力的差别是非常大的啊。那么这商呢是地处中原腹地，一个相当发达的青铜文明啊。所以周人在他这个胜利之后，甚至还说他自己是小邦周，这个商朝是大邦殷。呢，他这个经济上他非常发达。 可是他在精神领域里面，他一片空白，啊。那么我们说贾国里可以知道，他是不问苍生问鬼神，什么事情都要占卜。这个物质文化的发达，如果没有人文精神的引领，最后这个社会要走向灭亡。